Hey Internet fam. So this is the recapping of working with the goddess Demeter, or Demeter, however you say her name, through the month of October 2020. So as per the usual, I would go and meet her every day in meditation. And since I work with Yggdrasil, the world tree, in the Celtic tradition, which was the first shamanic tradition I trained in, for Demeter, would go down, spiral down to the Celtic underworld, where it's not ghosts and dead people like it is in other types of underworlds. The Celtic underworld is just where a lot of the deities and elementals hang out in the Celtic tradition. And you can do research on the Tuatha De Danann in Ireland and stuff if you want to learn more about that, because they went underground after their wars with the humans. So anyway, Demeter is a goddess from the Greek tradition. She was Persephone's mom, and she is an earth goddess. And when I would go see her, the way that she looked would change a little bit. Some goddesses come through with a very strong physical presence to me. Some of them are more changeable, and she was changeable. Usually I got the impression of long golden hair and eternal spirit, but a pretty youthful appearance. Like in childbearing peak. So woman who is very fertile, which would make sense as an earth goddess. And the interesting thing about working with her, there were two really interesting things. One of them was how she would often take me to the macro. So during this time, Halloween happened, and lots of the experience of things breaking down, things decomposing, leaves falling, and that kind of thing. So she showed me how things breaking down, turning into fertilizer, turning into compost, was so important for life. And that's not something we often think about. This time of year, people get all excited about Halloween and stuff, but when we really think about what does decomposition really mean, the separating of things into their pieces so that those pieces can be reused as building blocks for other stuff, it was really neat. That was the first thing. And we would go, like I said, often very macro. She would take me and show me these tiny little communities of types of creatures, so either insects or animals or things that I don't ever really think about. She would take me to look at and say, look at how complex and beautiful this world is. Look at how much life there is all around you all the time. That was cool. The second thing that I thought was weird was, and this is not something that's really come up before in this work, but I think Demeter, at least in my experience of her, was a lesbian or bisexual. She got kind of flirty and sensual with me once or twice, and I'm fine with that. You know, I was like, oh, interesting, whatever, non-binary is fine with me as far as who you're attracted to. I have absolutely no judgment of that, but I didn't necessarily expect it. But then I thought about it, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. You never hear of her having a partner that is male, although she had at least one child. You hear of her hanging out with nymphs and stuff all the time and other goddesses, and that makes sense to me. And then that made me think about the pantheon. Sometimes you hear that about Athena or other types of goddesses up there, that they like women, and that does, I imagine, simplify things in certain ways and complicate things in certain ways, just knowing what I know about the psyche of women and knowing what I know about relationships among women. But I didn't expect it. That was something that kind of came out of left field for me as I was interacting with her, and I was like, oh, cool, whatever. So yeah, in closing, I really enjoyed working with her. She's not one of the goddesses that I check in with all the time. In fact, hardly ever. I'm much more connected to Persephone usually than her, and even Persephone kind of comes to me. I don't necessarily go find her. So it was beautiful working with her. It was nice and grounding, obviously, because she's an earth goddess, and it was great to put things in perspective, especially with the crazy climate of what's been going on lately. It was really nice to just have this sacred time in the astral realm with a deity showing me perspectives that go on all the time. You know, at this moment right now, the ancient trees are standing, the winds are blowing, and the cliffs and places all over the world, the ocean waves are pounding the shore. every moment, whatever drama is happening among the humans. And that to me is very valuably balancing. Helps me come home to myself and remember what my job is here, which is to provide my little light for you guys and anywhere else it touches, and that all the pieces are important, no matter what has the spotlight on it at the moment. So in closing, I'm excited to see who will come for November. I haven't pulled the card yet. And reminding you that your spot is important, and that it doesn't have to be huge and flashy all the time. And that what the external world sees, sorry, someone's going down for a nap if you guys can hear that crying. What the external world sees is only a tiny, tiny slice of what's going on with you. No matter how much you share, even if you share lots and lots, or if you share nothing at all, whatever other people can observe is only a little piece of who you are. And it's important to know that, and important to remember that, because sometimes we can forget, especially with the glitz and glamour and flashing lights and screens that we all have access to. Okay. Love you guys. See you for the next Goddess Pull for November.